morning, this is Josh at Mass Gunworks. This is take two. I had a technology issue. My camera randomly shut off on me and I lost all the video from what I was shooting before. So, we'll start over. So, here is the finished slide after Cerakote. Okay, it's a nice, what I call a satin finished black. It's not shiny like a gloss. It's not flat like a matte. But when you're painting your house, sometimes you get paint called a satin, and it's just got that nice, pleasant tone to it. But that's about like this is. So, like I said, this is part of a Browning high power, and this pistol was invented by John Browning when he was working at Fabrique Nationale in Belgium. I believe it was Belgium. It's very similar to a CZ. Can't remember which model, but it's the one that Daryl carries on Walking Dead. So if you're a Walking Dead fan, you've seen the pistol before. It's a very, very simple design. It is a rugged design. It is the forerunner of the 1911. And the way that this gun goes together, it's very simple. Okay. So with the slide specifically, before my camera screwed up, I was walking through doing reassembly. So what you missed, here is the extractor, and then there is cat is hitting my tripod. There is a sear system right here, and your sear is a lever. Okay. So when you're taking your guns apart, it's very important, once you get past the point that you know how it goes together or it comes apart, that you look it up. Okay. So if you notice, there's a roll pin here, holds in this extractor. Okay. So you ask, where's the other side of the hole so I can access that pin to punch it out? Well, it's underneath this lever. Okay. So if you go in here and try and Mongo this pin out, Mongo is a technical term that means to apply an unreasonable amount of force. This term is derived from the movie Blazing Saddles. Watch the movie and you'll get the reference. But if you try to Mongo this pin out, you're going to try and drive it right through this sear lever. You're going to break it off. And then you're not going to be real happy. So with the disassembly for this, the first thing we want to do after we get the firing pin block out, we want to take this roll pin, come over on the opposite side, there's an access hole, put your punch in, you can punch that out. That's going to take out your sear lever. Okay? And then you can access the hole to get your extractor out, and it doesn't matter if you drive it through or drive it out. You just need to punch it out. But that access hole is hidden underneath this sear lever. Okay, so like I said, pay attention. When you go to put it back together, this sear lever can only go back in one way. Okay, so you're not going to screw that up. If it was able to go in a second way, I lost this in the video footage, and I'll just pound this back out so I can show you real quick. So like I said, there's a spring that pushes up on this lever. Okay. Now, if you look on the bottom side, see that shiny spot? That's where the spring has been wearing against the foot. So I know by looking at that that's the way that goes in, because there's only one direction that could possibly be in and have the spring contacting the block. I'm going to get this pin started. I have an arbor press that I love very much for doing roll pin work. I use it a lot when I'm putting roll pins and ARs when I'm building it. It's very, very helpful. So, put this back in. Like I said, see, can only go in one way. Okay, it's not going to fit that way. It can go in. Only go in one way. I'm going to put that in there. On a pin. And when you set your pin, you want to get it just past flush. Okay. Back to normal. Alright, so the firing pin, here's your firing pin. Pin, spring, and then there's a block. It goes on the end just like that, okay? Very 1911-esque, okay? Now, the sear also blocks the firing pin. So when you go to put the firing pin in, you have to push down on the sear to get it in, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. See if I can bend this camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So we're going to hold down here. Sometimes this takes 5 hands. And we're going to put our block in. And again, the block only goes in one direction. Hey, Eleanor. The pin. We're going to hold that down, and then we're going to push this block up. Okay. All right. And click. Okay. Now, firing pin will not come out the other side unless this lever is pushed down. Okay. So, the way this works, this is the thing that really intrigued me. In here, we have a coil spring and a flat spring. Flat spring pushes on the sear here, and the coil spring, I believe, works on the hammer. The way this works, you see this foot? Okay, and there's another one right. If I get my, right there, see it moving? Okay, those levers work together. All right, so what happens is, when I pull my trigger, this lever comes up and it raises the sear lever, okay? And it pushes down over here on this one. And when this one pushes down, my hammer drops. Okay, it's a really simple sear system. I love it because it's simple. There's so many guns today that you go to take apart and it's just this complicated mess of parts. Nylon 66 is one that immediately comes to mind. They don't need to be that complicated, folks. It's a simple mechanism of levers and springs, and that's what makes the pew go down the tube. So when you go to reassemble, you got to pull back your hammer, barrel. You have an uncaptured spring. and it's important that the hole is oriented toward the slide, okay? What I mean is like that. Goes right in there, and our slide stop is going to go through that hole and act as a retainer pin, very much like a 1911. Okay. Gonna pull it back, safety on. It's also our slide stop lever. Okay. And there you have it. That is a Browning high power. Now, like I said, my customer told me that this pistol was manufactured around 1991. This is in no way, shape, or form an original Browning high power. I really haven't messed with the originals to know how similar this design is, but I can tell you that this is made by, around here, Browning Arms Company, and it says made in Belgium. So I imagine that this is pretty similar to the original design. With this, if you ever want to do a quote-unquote trigger job on one of these, what I would suggest is you just take the slide off and you get some really fine sandpaper or an India stone or an Arkansas stone, and you polish the faces on those levers that I just showed you. The reason being, the only other way that I've found to start doing a trigger job on one of these bad boys is start cutting springs. And they do have spring kits you can buy to replace the coil spring in here, and I believe the coil spring in the slide for the firing pin. So I don't like cutting springs unless I have to. I don't like replacing springs unless I have to. I like to leave stuff the way it is. This pistol right now, I had the customer shoot it after doing a polish on all those faces, and she was very happy with the way it felt. It's around a 6 or 7 pound trigger, but because all the surfaces are polished, it's a very smooth pull. And if you, there's your slack right there, and then you're moving not very much, okay? It's a very deliberate break. There's no slop. Yeah, I think I moved it like a 32nd of an inch, so it's a very nice trigger. That's all I got. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. It's maskedgunworks@gmail.com. Yes, I am a firefighter, and I used to be a member of the Firefighters Union, Local 416, and I changed departments, and I'm now a member of 5195 in the county I work in. So, love public safety. If you're a cop, firefighter, former military, let me know that if you ever want me to do a job for you, and I'll give you a sweet 10% discount. Hope y'all have a good day. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you again later.